Alright, what's up yins guys? Time for another video. And this video is going to be like a video intro, if you will, to a whole series of videos that I want to bring back that I was doing back in frickin' 2012. A little bit of the time I was been deleting all my old videos from 2012 and the earlier years because the camera quality and any other things. Everything from exercise videos to talk videos, but I had some ignorant little know-it-all fucker asshole that made some comments on a couple of those videos, and I forgot all about them after all these years. So since the subject matter stems from a book like this, which, by the way, I have a series on there on YouTube, still on there, and I didn't delete them yet, but I'm going to delete them and redo them and based on this book. Oh, don't worry about my yammering. This intro ain't going to be perfect because I'll probably make the better intro to be forward with it later, you know what I mean, too. But when I was doing my series on this book, which I feel should be expanded, the place I used to live, they had the central air conditioning unit that was outside, like behind, say, a building on one side, and it was always making noise in the background, and there was traffic and noise always certain given days, and I think it'd be probably too distracting even for my haters, let alone my likers, to really grasp the video. So I just tell you that's coming, you know what I mean? But the thing about the series that I am talking about, the one little idiot, little nerdy little shithead that I guess he made a quote about we call it verbal acrobatics, just create shitty people that he didn't like what I think I was saying or something like. But he basically reminded me. I'm like, oh damn, I forgot about those videos. So yeah, these videos will be like this series will be about a metaphoric, intellectual, the real life Yu-Gi-Oh people are playing. That's what this series is going to be called. It stems from this kind of shit in this book. Like I said, even though I have another series, I'm going to delete all those videos and redo them. And this thing is series, the Yu-Gi-Oh game series videos are something that, yeah, I already deleted, but I'm rebooting. I just never got around to it yet. Finally going to get around to it. The yammering in this intro, you know, I didn't want to yammer too much about this book, but it relates. They do it off of this. It's bullshit. And I'm almost convinced the author of this book, if Yu-Gi-Oh was ever around the day the author wrote this book, he probably would have been coining at the time, who knows. But oh, and one more thing which is real important too, that I got to remind you guys and myself, that I'm going to cut and paste a disclaimer caption before in the pinned comment of every video when I do these too, to make sure, so I'm not misleading anybody too, that this is not about the Yu-Gi-Oh card game, but it's designed as a metaphor and a sarcasm, because anyway, I want a disclaimer there, a nutshell disclaimer to remind people, so nobody thinks that I'm talking about the Yu-Gi-Oh card game or whatever, to be fair, as a reminder in each video. But and I always I remember the Yu-Gi-Oh cartoon, but I also just a sarcastic question, you know, that I should look it up myself. Does anybody even fucking actually play Yu-Gi-Oh anymore, or the Yu-Gi-Oh card decks? And I think with the more and more bullshit you're seeing in the world these days, it's time for me to bring back that series. I don't know if anybody else on YouTube has actually did any videos coining a joke, but coining that as a joke or sarcasm. But anyway, if you're still with me in the 4 minutes I was getting to this video, yes, right, I'm gonna do a new intro later, but I'm just to tell you some of you guys. Yeah, they're political Yu-Gi-Oh, racial Yu-Gi-Oh, religious Yu-Gi-Oh, religious and non-religious. People don't like each other. People against their own kind, not necessarily racial, but that their own kind, if they're on a political left or right or religious left or right, play. Family members, co-workers play it. You see on shit on TV or other YouTubers. But the point is about the Yu-Gi-Oh metaphor. It's a good metaphor. The Yu-Gi-Oh is a perfect metaphor, just as perfect as people use the Matrix as a metaphor, saying this world is fake and full of bullshit. But the Yu-Gi-Oh is a perfect metaphor because it sums up all the damn shit. No matter what you say, if you try to, even if you partially agree with people, or you try to listen even though you disagree with people, and so okay, I agree on these circumstances, but not this circumstances. And then, if it isn't their way, it always gets twisted to somebody else's advantage. And the Yu-Gi-Oh cards are always, if you question me or disagree with me or walk away from me or say fuck you to me, you'll always be labeled with these labels, which each individual label, turns into, you can really take one individual label you're called alone. You can make a bunch of Yu-Gi-Oh cards, describe them, that they will use off that one label alone, where you would have to, you're forced to have your Yu-Gi-Oh cards to fight back or push back, if you will. And the rule is, too, with every single asshole, too, they have this rule, too. They're allowed to manufacture, create every Yu-Gi-Oh card, but not you. They're allowed to do all that. They're the only ones that are allowed to play the cards or even create new cards. Almost like you almost want to say, if you ever saw the Yu-Gi-Oh cartoon, somehow the good one that's a good guy, I've seen the cartoon in the past, always leave you in suspense, and then there's this other card that always comes out. And you got to wonder if the bad guys are always, there's always this card, and your hero is always in some kind of danger, and there's some, right at the last minute, there's some card. But I'd say everybody out there, they don't like to be wrong. They want to control you. You partially agree with them, or meeting them halfway is never good enough. Whatever issue it is, politically, racially. Sometimes own family members, co-workers, ex-co-workers. You don't lick their boots or suck up to them, or you push back. You're always this piece of shit, and you'll be labeled everything but a child of God. Racist, Satanist, piece of shit. You sometimes always followed by and ended with swear words. And that's how it works. It's a very intricate playing field out there. Very sneaky, dirty, vicious, backstabbing, done sometimes behind the back, sometimes in plain sight, but like always, face to face, it's always some kind of, if it isn't to their advantage and you push back, like you said, you can be everything but a racist. You can be everything from a racist, Satanist, depending on what kind of adversary, whether they're the same race as you or whether they look like me, whatever hair type. So many different people that look like me, but there are assholes. Some of them with tattoos, some of them with more or less tattoos than others, and different backgrounds, different areas in this country we live in or other countries, that different value systems. And it's all the adversary. It's always based on, you want to ask them, by what authority you telling me this bullshit? And what authority? Who's your daddy? Who's your authority? Whose boots are you licking that I'm supposed to be licking? And and is there a manifesto, a rule book, a Bible? Is it a religion? Is it a communist daddy? Is it a far right daddy, a far left daddy. It is a whatever kind of daddy, based on based on behavior, almost like that. That's the kind of Yu-Gi-Oh they played back when we were in school, even though there was no Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Everybody that was school kids started playing this on each other. I mean, everybody from the bullies, whether it's intellectual bullies or physical bullies or a mixture of both, intellectual and physical. And we learned it from being school kids and then grown people. And then you go to work, college, or workplaces. Grown-ass people do the same damn shit. Modified version of the behavior in school kids. That's what it's all about. That's what the Yu-Gi-Oh is. It's like a Yu-Gi-Oh that was there before the concept of the Yu-Gi-Oh card game was there, and then when the Yu-Gi-Oh card game showed up, oh, it is like the perfectest metaphor. Everybody does it, and then it's how when you're dealing with narcissists and sociopaths and intellectual bullies, you almost got to think like a sociopath and a narcissist. You almost got to be a reverse sociopath and a reverse narcissist to be able to deal with narcissists and sociopaths. And in the same case, when they're losing the battle, or it turns into a draw, or like a standoff, if you will, no fists flying, becomes a standoff and both walk away, the adversary will turn around and it also become a Yu-Gi-Oh card to turn you, to paint you into the narcissist and sociopath that they actually are, where you, and there's a sense where you almost got to be one on a certain level, almost like one person has this kind of weapon and you have to have it. It's like it turns into intellectual science fiction force shields and nuclear warheads in an intellectual sense. Everybody's got the bigger weapons or the dirtier weapons, and the philosophically speaking, the hidden weapon in the boot in a philosophical sense and not a literal sense, but almost like the way comedian Dane Cook said when he was fighting with ex-girlfriends or something, the intellectual katana, they turn around and there's like so many comedians, the late George Carlin actually, both black and white comedians that you liked, that had some senses that you agreed with, and they may have been unwittingly using, they may have been talking about Yu-Gi-Oh cards and before they even realized it, but you can quote comedians, you can quote the better preachers, or it can be the asshole preachers and the asshole advocates of any kind, or political activists of any kind, or protesters of any kind. Just twisting. It's twisting things to one other's advantage. And when you verbally push back, you're accused of a version of the same thing, or and then there's the Yu-Gi-Oh card in result that when they know that you're pushing back, there's the Yu-Gi-Oh card of the threat of social or physical consequences, either by their daddy and their clique, that's the physical muscle, or something when they have their way that they'll have you thrown in jail. That's a Yu-Gi-Oh card too. That the thing that they hope to either get you thrown in a jail or a mental hospital or beat up someday. The threat of all kind of stuff, even the threat of making you destitute. All of that shit, that all those advantages that they should have the right to have, but you don't. That's what this video series would be all about here. This is a little bit of a long intro, but there'll be a different one. But I just went ahead with it. But anyway, eventually, like I said, I deleted that original series that I had about Yu-Gi-Oh! But the stuff based on just this book is still up. It's going to be coming down and redone, like I said, because the background. And actually, these cicadas sometimes get real loud in the background in the trees. They get louder than you hear now. I don't know if you hear them, but anyway, yeah, just telling you that's all coming.